Hey guys, this is Rabbit Allen. I'm back here with another interview. This time I'm interviewing my friend Kyle. He's here in Tennessee, and we're going to talk about him. He's a great piercer friend of mine, and we're going to see what all he has to say about everything he's been through and done through his career. All right? What's up, Kyle? Okay, how old are you to start, man?
I am 27 years old. I'll be 28 in July.
What day in July?
July 30th.
I'm July 26th.
Wow, that's awesome. We should have like a joint birthday party.
We could try to plan that someday.
That would be super cool.
So, we've talked before a little. When did you first get into piercing?
So, that's an interesting question. I first got into piercing after many, many years of trying, I think around 2015, 2016. I started my first apprenticeship in Brandon/Ybor City, Florida, under a really amazing piercer. She was awesome. I'm going to leave her name out because I'm not too sure how she feels about me since I didn't complete that apprenticeship. But had to leave that apprenticeship due to the birth of my daughter. I just couldn't really make both work at that time. And then, I had to kind of drop it for a couple of years, and then I got another apprenticeship in Lenore City, Tennessee, where we're at right now in 2018.
Okay, so you've been back to it consecutively since 2018, you'd say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When did you say you fully completed an apprenticeship?
That would be 2019.
2019. Okay. Thought like a good year. Started in 08. So you being 27, 28 this year. Where did you grow up?
So I was born in Denver, Colorado, but we only stayed there until about age 6. The majority of my life was spent around Tampa Bay, Florida.
Okay. So growing up in Florida, that's where you obviously started your first dabble into it. What was your first experience with piercings? Like, what was the first thing you saw that, like, that's really awesome, I want to try to be around that?
Musicians.
Musicians? Okay.
Growing up being into, like, metal and hardcore and stuff like that, you know, they had piercings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not just, like, earlobes. They had lip piercings and septum piercings. And growing up, into that music, you kind of, like, idolize these people. And so it's like, they look really cool. I want to look cool, too.
No, I get that, yeah. Did any of your family ever have tattoos or piercings when you were growing up?
My mom, yeah. She had more so tattoos, not so much piercings. But yeah, she was into tattoos. She was into like rock music and stuff like that. So that's definitely kind of another thing, kind of growing up a little bit with it kind of in the sight. It was always something that I knew about and was mildly interested in, you know what I mean? But the real like awakening for me was around age 14 finding BME.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, you Google like lip piercing or something and you just somehow stumble upon that page, and then at least for me, I started just going through the whole site, and it's like people are getting their mandibles pierced. That's crazy. Yeah, people are getting their Achilles heel pierced and stretching it. Like, I didn't even know any of this stuff was possible. That's insane.
Has that piercing.
Oh, I know, yeah.
All of us, if anyone out there here's like, they know
exactly who it is. Yeah.
I'm not going to say his name.
Yeah, we all know.
Yeah, we all know him. He still has it to this day.
Mm-hmm.
He's not publicly out there. That's why I'm not going to mention the name.
Yeah, but really cool dude.
Yeah, I have them on Facebook. They're great people. So, young, getting to see it all. When was your first experience getting something professional?
So,
not you joined, like you see it, yeah.
Interestingly enough, you would think that like most people start with their earlobes, but I actually got my paired lip piercings done as my first piercings ever. And that was actually done here in Knoxville at about the age of 15.
Okay.
I don't think he pierces anymore, but Dale Johnson, the owner of Mythical Markings, pierced my lip first thing when I was 15.
First professional I had was my lip as well, just a single lip. Gentleman who did it, he's no longer with us. He passed away. He had a studio in my hometown in West Virginia, and then opened one in Virginia like years later.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
He was quite an older gentleman. It was more just age, but he pierced me. Then that was got my septum eventually. So that was your first experience. When was what your first tattoo? was?
So I didn't get my first tattoo until I was 18. I did it professionally and everything like that. My first tattoo is actually this owl that I have on my forearm, and this was done by Dale at Las Vegas Tattoo in Ybor City, Florida.
That's cool. Okay. So when you first started with that apprenticeship, we're going to talk about in 2016, I think you said?
Yeah, somewhere around there, 2015, 2016.
Did you, how long were you with that?
I think roughly maybe 4 to 6 months. Not all that long. I didn't even get to start piercing people.
Okay, so you were still very early, like doing the setups and stuff like that, learning.
I don't even think I was doing the setups.
You weren't even that far in.
No, I was mainly just learning, watching, trying to study the piercing Bible and all that type of stuff.
Just shadowing.
Yeah, maybe I was only there for like 3 months because I didn't get too far into it. I hated leaving the apprenticeship, but I just. The stress of the apprenticeship and the kid and still having a full-time job, it was a lot.
Okay, and then we fast forward to you being here in Tennessee. Did you know of the people in that studio, or did someone refer you to maybe go there?
Honestly, when I came to Tennessee, it was a really rough patch in my life, and I kind of just hit rock bottom. You know what I mean? So I had just always wanted to do this, and there was a shop in town. And so I called, which, even though I knew that was a bad idea, I wasn't expecting anything out of it. So I was like, is there any chance y'all would be looking for an apprentice? And he was like, perhaps, but definitely, I'm not even going to tell the owner that you called. You really just need to come talk to him in person. And I was like, okay, I'll be right there. And so I went and talked to him, and he was like, okay, well, before we even really talk about you apprenticing here or anything, go get your bloodborne pathogens, and then maybe we can have a conversation. So I looked up the next class with the health department. Thankfully, it was only like a week or two away. They only do 4 years, so it was really good timing there. And I got it. And I went back, and I ended up getting the apprenticeship from there.
Mine was about the same. I remember when I got out of high school, I called all the studios. None of them had room, didn't want to bring on one. So I moved around and settled on coming back, and found who was my mentor, lost a bunch of people who didn't have him anymore. So I called him, tried to talk to him and stuff. He remembered who I was after me saying my nickname, because he gave me my nickname. And he told me to come in, speak to him, and we'll see. And then spent about 2.5 years with him, learning piercing. I was 18 and got my license the following year. It was just the rest gone.
Yeah, just kind of took it and ran with it.
Yeah. I see your work. I've followed you now. Out of all the things you've done, what's one of your favorite piercings to do, to perform?
I mean, it's always going to be the conch for me. There's just so much versatility with the jewelry selection you can do there. You can put something small in it and it's going to look awesome. Or you can put like a big statement piece in there that you can't really maybe put it in the flat, but not really anywhere else. It's going to fit in the conch and it's going to look cool.
And it allows... It's one of my favorites too, and the photo cover. I enjoy the heck out of the photo, but a conch, it's not just sometimes the placement dead center. Depending on the jewelry and the person, you have so much diversity. You can go for a hidden conch if they have the right anatomy. It allows for different styles of jewelry and different placements to play with. You can even stack jewelry based on the anatomy.
I love doing multiple conches too. There's this really cool project I never got to complete. She never came back for the third piercing, but we did a double conch, one that was directly in the center and then one that was kind of higher up, almost vertical. Mm-hmm. And the pieces that we put in there, one of them was a CZ that had these beaded pieces coming out in almost like an X formation, and then the other one was kind of a straight line cluster, and so they fit together almost like gears in a clock, and I thought it looked really cool.
That sounds nice. What's your least favorite to do?
Septum.
I think that is all of us, like every piercer I've met, we all hate fucking too much septums.
Yeah.
I'm not saying stop getting them, but we hate it.
Yeah, it's the only piercing that you do that you never see what you're actually piercing.
It's piercing in the dark, which sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you freehand it, it sucks. And it's one based on our clients needing to stand, be as still as you can. Mm-hmm. And that's hard to ask. You put that needle through, what are they going to do? They're going to tense up and squirm. What's that body going to do? It's moving, shifting. It's a rough one. I hate and dread when they tell me, oh, you have a septum tonight.
I also feel like it's one of the only ones too where you can do it and look at that needle and be like, oh, I killed that man. And then you put the jewelry through it and you're like, oh, I didn't kill that man.
The needle is very misleading when because it's sitting like somewhere on their skin, so it's like, fuck, yes. And I'm like, that's a little kill tip, just a little.
Yeah.
Or I've done a certain anatomy that I felt like, because I know I'm going to do it because they have like a deviated or their nostrils are set, and I'm like, I'm going to do it. And I did it. I've done one on one of our recent clients, and he had one nostril stuck a little farther. I put it in, and his head was still back this way while I'm doing it. I'm like, fuck, that looks so off. And then he leans down. I'm like, wait a minute. And I went to the side. I was like, that's fucking dead on. That's perfectly straight. And he goes like, I'm like, this is fucking nose. This is anatomy. And I'm like, man. But it was beautifully straight. I had to explain to him so he was self-aware of why it was going to look that way. But when you look, it's great. But no, I think that's a lot of ours.
I will say though, despite the difficulty of it and, that kind of making you have more negative feelings towards it, I feel like it is also the most rewarding. Like when you can pull a really clean one off on some really difficult anatomy,
it's one
very
that you
rewarding.
See a lot of us, when we do that one that we're like so proud. It is the one all of us mostly are showcasing. Like you see them, they've got the angle on the side, the front, up, like they showcase it. It's no different than like what you have paired nostrils, high and low, like they put those lines, they pair it. It's one of those like when you get it and you got it, you want to show it off.
Okay.
With that being said, like I know you've been modified, I'm modified. What have you enjoyed with that? Like, what was your first heavy experience with modification?
So my first heavy experience with modification would be this thumb spine specifically. It was done by Sean O'Hare, I believe, 2019, and it was a great experience. It was not exactly what I was expecting, you know what I mean? But it was really cool. I'm super glad that they numbed me because I didn't know if they were going to at first or not, you know what I mean? Just because I had no knowledge really about heavy mods at this point, so I was kind of really scared going into it too. Like, this might be very uncomfortable, but it was actually pretty comfortable. The only thing that tripped me out was just seeing my own blood, in a pretty large quantity. I'm fine with other people's blood when I know it's mine. I got a little kind of lightheaded and everything, but they took great care of me, him and Frankie. And it was a great experience.
My first one was me doing lobe reconstruction with Chase, and then planning later on to do my horns and stuff like that, which the only mod I've had that I don't know which ones you might have had something, but my conch removal. It was the first one I went in knowing there's no reversal. Mm-hmm. And that first cut, the second we start doing it, there's no going back. Like, it's done. Like, can't. And that was the first one I was actually truly nervous on. Was there any that you've had that you were like, well, not so much nervous because of the same experience of mine, but like, you felt a little different?
So definitely the scarification that I got from Coral, because that's, again, the first one that I had where it's like, this is going to be permanent. There's no way to reverse this. There's no going back. And also, I'm looking at me, it kind of seems silly, but I hate the feeling of getting tattooed. I think it hurts so bad.
I'm right with you. I hate it.
I know, looking at me kind of seems a little silly saying that.
I'd rather be pierced, cut, branded, any of that
100%.
Than being tattooed.
100%. So also my first play piercing I did, I went in super nervous, like, oh man, what if I choke, stop halfway? Same thing with the scarification. I was like, well, if I already hate tattooing this much, I can't imagine that I'm going to like the scarification more, but I really want to see it through. Adversely, both the play piercing and the scarification ended up being very euphoric for me, very just overall 10 out of 10 experiences, even though there was pain involved. It was enjoyable. Whereas I don't think I've ever enjoyed getting tattooed a single time.
I think, like we spoke earlier off, face was probably about my only one where I was like, okay, this is great. Mm-hmm. Everything else, I just wanted it to be over.
Yeah, exactly.
Piercings, I've gone in and just got them, and it's a different experience. It's a different pain, and it's just better all around. Like a tattoo, yes, isn't it's more you're with it longer and it's annoyance and it's more aggravating than a piercing's like rewarding, which is sad to say because like a tattoo, we have these forever. Sometimes a little piercing we can take out and let it grow up, but it's more rewarding to me to have versus a tattoo.
Yeah, it's also quicker. You know, you're not sitting there in pain for hours on end. You know what I mean? And even if you're doing play piercing type stuff where it's like, you know, a large number of them, the worst part is just the initial poke. And again, that still only lasts 1 second.
Yeah. Eventually your body accounts for it and it becomes something, just a normal feeling. Like
you don't really, it doesn't phase you anymore.
Yeah.
That was another thing I noticed with the play piercing that was really interesting is like the first couple were like, ooh. But then after that, it was just kind of like, this is actually good. You know what I mean? It's still painful, but I don't mind it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is there any plans you have past what you already have? Not so much on tattooing, because we're always getting tattooed.
Yeah.
I've had blank spaces, but like mods, like do you have anything planned past what you already have?
I'm really thinking about getting some face scars in the very near future, so that's kind of on the mindset right now. I really want my tongue split, but I'm terrified of the aftercare, so don't know about that.
That makes sense. I have a few things listed for tongue splits on the list.
Dude, I just got my wisdom teeth removed, all 4 of them at the same time, and it was like the worst 2 weeks of my life. And I know tongue split is very similar, like you're not really going to be able to eat. Even worse than the wisdom teeth, it's going to be hard to drink. I know you can do it, but you have to like get a spray bottle and stuff, and it's just like, I don't know about it.
No, it's rough. Witnessing my girlfriend Liana through it, like she looked like a corpse by the end of it. Like she was dead.
Like malnutrition, like been in pain for like a week straight. Yeah, I'm sure it was rough.
Yeah, watching that, and it's never been on my list. But after that, I'm like, it's definitely never going to be on my list.
It's been on my list for a very long time, but I don't know if I'll ever be able to just bite the bullet and get it done.
No, I get that. With you being into this, is there like, I don't know how to say it, like, people when you first getting started on like the heavier side, was there anyone that you remember seeing that really like, yeah, like that can be done, that they were an influence on you?
So like mod-wise?
Yeah, more on the heavier side, because like obviously you're younger than me, but we both grew up like, the BME world was still around somewhat for you.
Pretty much everybody that was in the really old Modify documentary.
Okay.
So Louis Sanchez, Lizard Man. Obviously, I didn't want to go as far as like Lizard Man went. He's got a lot going on. Not that it's bad, but just don't think it's for me. But just seeing all those people, like especially Louis Sanchez with the horns, Bear with the huge ears, rest in peace. Yeah, just so cool to me. I was like, you know, kind of like with the BME thing. It's like I didn't even know people were doing this.
No,
I didn't know it was possible. You can put silicone under your skin and it's fine.
Yeah. So once I first saw, which I have to say, I was fair back in the Unstoppable days, was my first true experience. And eventually I became kind of friends with that person, and I love that I had that experience to once idolize them to be a friend. But they influenced me a lot back in the MySpace days to know what could be done. First seeing like, true suspension, seeing implants, scarification, all through them. Even the first like eye stain being done through that person like was insane. Especially being 17 years old in high school.
Yeah. Being
able to like, see that and like growing up in a small town, like that was great to have that and want that. That's what drove me to be a piercer. And it's cool to know like this stuff. And sometimes I don't know if you've ever had someone look at you with what we do and try to put that there's no art into what we do. Have you ever had someone?
No, because I think with my age being a little bit younger than you, I feel like when I started getting tattooed, pierced, modified, it was a lot more accepted. I feel like people are more curious of me than they are like afraid or resentful. Yeah,
no, I get that. It was me growing up in that small, like, to take the steps, and I didn't care because it's what I wanted. It was definitely, you knew you were making yourself. And people were like, are you going to regret? No. I knew what I was getting into. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, but like I'm sure you probably had bad reactions to your horns, you know what I mean? Whereas anybody that sees my thumbs is just like, whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah. It was that and then my nose. Like the weirdest thing was a guy once when I was working at this home piercing studio, he asked if my nose holes were real. I'm like, you can see in my nose. Like, what do you mean? Are
You
they
can see
real?
my septum right through my nostril. Like,
it was unreal. But no, the experiences we have, it's crazy what got each one of us into it, and seeing those people from back in that day that influenced a lot of us, and it was a lot of the same people, and we're all in different worlds, and now like seeing us all come back together and shit, it's great. So with you being up here in Tennessee, are you enjoying it here?
oh, I love it here, yeah.
With that piercing, mostly honestly, I do tattoos, but it's great seeing you here. Piercing, I love your work.
Thank you very much. I
know,
don't really think I'm that special, but I try to do a good job.
But you do good work, I've told you. And it's cool to see some of the crazy, you get to experience a lot more funner shit, so how you talk people into some crazier projects that I ever get to mention.
So I think that's also just because not a lot of other people are willing to do it.
Down here.
I think, and again, not to like be super egotistical or anything, but I think that I'm just willing to do a lot more that a lot of other people around Knoxville just won't.
No.
You know, like I'm one of the only people that'll do cheeks. I'm one of the only people that'll do, you know, more than just like your basic genitals.
Yeah.
So there are definitely other people in Knoxville that do it, but they're much more fewer and far between than how many actual piercers there are that will pierce your nostril.
Yeah. Well, I've enjoyed this. We will definitely possibly revisit with more conversations and things. That would be great.
Absolutely, I would love that.
Before we end this, is there anywhere these people could find you on Instagram or anything?
So you can find me on Instagram as Omen Piercing. I currently work at Ambition Tattoo. Their Instagram is just Ambition Tattoo. Definitely give them a follow. I work around a lot of really talented, really great people. And not just because I'm sponsored by them, but also that's the point. I'm part of their pro team. They make really great needles. I recommend anybody in the industry at least giving them a try. And if you've ever been curious about their products or want to know anything more, and you're in the industry, definitely feel free to shoot me a message and we can talk about it and get you some more information on that side as well.
All right. I appreciate you, Kyle, coming on this and letting me interview you. Everyone, make sure you like, subscribe, also follow everything that Kyle has said, and I appreciate you again. Thanks.